Hey guys, this is Phoenix. I'm back with another episode, and today we're going to handle update checkers. The update checker. I am not going to lie to you. This is going to be a little bit complex. I usually copy paste this from other projects into my current ones, but I'm going to rewrite this by hand for you guys. Although I am going to cheat like hell using my other project, so that's going to happen. And I'm not going to do it any other way. So what we're going to have to do for this is we are going to have to create a bunch of new stuff. So right now we're going to create a new directory underneath of our main directory here. We're going to create it and name it, not a Java class, we're going to call it update. So package update. Underneath of update, we are going to create a new jar file called update check. So we're going to do Java class update check. Okay, so there's that. And okay, so this is actual programming. This is nothing to do with Minecraft whatsoever, other than the fact that where I'm writing it to is where writing the log files to is going to be the chat, and that's literally the only difference. So underneath of the update checker, what we need to do is we want to check for our check online, basically, is what we're going to do. Now, again, I have a website set up, but I'm pretty sure that there's some other places that you can take this to. Yes, I am uploading a video. It's my last video. I don't know if Dropbox does it anymore, but basically you need a link where you can actually view a text file in the chat or in the website. The other one is free TZI, free web hosting area. Will give you a free sub-hosting domain. You can set one up here, just do whatever, copy that. Free TZI, proceed. It's going to send you email registrations. Hey, public registration was temporarily disabled. If you need an account, please contact. Great. So you can't even do that. Normally you can. Yeah, I don't know. co.cc, does that still offer free websites? Call forwarding. No, that's call forwarding now. That's cc.cc now. Okay, well, get a website. If you don't own a website or you don't have a website, I don't recommend doing what I'm doing here. Because then there's really no way for you to check. Does OneDrive offer that support? OneDrive, Microsoft. Sign in. Are you really? Well, let me view files. Don't really care about that. Let me go and grab a text file or make a text file. New text document test. This is a test. Save. Open. I upload this. Watch it just like, yeah, test. OneDrive root, blah blah. Okay, so it doesn't seem like it does that. Let me edit it. Delete, move to, copy to, rename, embed, details, share. Okay, so that one doesn't work. Does Omega MZ do it? highly doubt it, but worth a look. Login. Login. Yeah, come on. No, it literally just downloads it. Get link. I agree. Yeah, it's that one also just straight downloads it. It doesn't let you view it. Okay, so your best option is see if you can set up a free website somewhere and get a text file on it. I'm gonna do it on mine. But anyway, so let's go and do this. Because if you're gonna be distributing a mod, you should probably have a website to be able to check for updates. Okay, so this is a whole bunch of jumbled mess that I promise is going to make no sense to you guys. Okay, so the first thing that we want to do is we want to create a method for checking the updates. So public static void check for updates. And then in here, we're going to do all of our checking. Let me scratch my ear real quick, sorry. So first we're going to check we're going to build the file, or figure out where the file is. So underneath of this, we're actually going to create a string for our update path. Update path equals, and I am actually going to choose that now. So I'm going to remote into my server, which is literally sitting next to me. Remote desktop, just come on. So that. Okay, so underneath of web, I'm going to go to create a new folder. We're going to call it tutorial mod, and this is where I'll be doing the updates. So I'm going to create a document, empty file, create. We're going to call this update.txt. Create, open this. First thing I want to do is change the encoding. You have to use the same format that your modding environment runs in. So basically, where are you? This runs in an encoding format of ISO 8859 as the normal one. So that's what I use because there is no formatting on ISO 8859-1. Right now it's UTF-8 without BOM. So right click or come up here to encoding, go to reload file interpreted as iOS 8859-1. Okay. Make sure that everything is empty there. And then from here, we're going to add in a couple lines of code, or not code, but text. The first one is going to be our version, which is 0.0.1. Okay. Our next one is going to be basically this. So we can actually just copy this and put it here. We got 0.0.1 is our version. This is a mod PT world. So tutorial mod update. Mod is out of date. Update 2. Now it doesn't matter if we put anything here or actually don't, because we're actually going to grab this as the newest version, since that's what it's checking to see if it's updated or not. So we can save that and we can close that. We do want to, however, grab this here. Alright, so our URL for this is actually going to be http://ryodev.com/ not that. Let me actually grab that. Okay, so it's just tutorial mod. Why am I tutori tutorial mod dot update dot txt, and it's not dot here, it's backslash. Now, if I were to copy this, it should display in a web browser as that. So if I go there, it gives me this. So it's showing me the text file. If I back up one, it actually shows me the directories and stuff. If I go back, it shows me my random stuff there. But yeah, so that's how you do that. Now, I don't need that anymore. That can actually close. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do after we have the string is actually connect to it. So we're going to do HTTP URL connection, and we're going to call it a connection, and we're going to say this equals cast as an HTTP URL connection a new URL. Why it's not picking up URL is beyond me. Alt enter. I want the, am I using JavaNet URL or what am I using for the URL? Let me check my imports real quick. Yeah, I'm using .NET URL. So URL space alt enter JavaNet URL delete. We're going to call for our our update URL, which we still actually have to cast this as a URL. So let me do that real quick. I'm sorry. So before this, we have to do an HTTP URL connection. No, I'm sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself again. We have to call a URL as a URL, and we need to feed it a new URL, and we're going to give it our update path. Why are you not working? Malformed URL? That's not a malformed URL. Why are you calling this a malformed URL? It's not. It's the way it's supposed to be. Oh my god. One sec. Let me figure out why. Yeah, there's no reason. URL equals new URL. What is deforming you? Okay. Fine, be that way. Okay, we're going to get rid of this string line, and we're actually just going to put it right inside of here, inside of quotes, of course. And that's apparently deformed as well. You know what? I've realized exactly what I'm doing wrong here. We're actually going to get rid of this and set it back to the same thing. It's because it's not in a try catch. So we're going to say try. Hey, try this. If not, catch the IO exception. Your IO exception is E, by the way. Now we don't have that error anymore. That was a total fail on my part, and I apologize. I forgot that it was actually going to throw errors, and that's why it had to be in a try catch. So that's all we're doing is, hey, try this. If not, throw an IO exception error E and do nothing. Even though I could say E dot print stack trace, which is probably the more effective way of doing that. So it actually tells you why. Anyway, so now that we have that working, which is good, we're going to actually finish off this line, which is pretty much URL dot to string dot open connection. Now this is a whole heap of junk that you really don't need to do, but we're going to do it anyway because it's going to check first, does a file exist? If the file exists, then proceed. If not, just say something instead of hanging there for an hour to tell you that it's not doing anything. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to say, hey, so the connection needs to be in a specific request mode, which is going to be head. So set request mode quotes head. Don't need that there. And then we're going to say int response code. We need a response code. Because basically the way that I can put it is, let me actually finish this line and I'll explain it. Get response code. Okay, so there are three major response codes that we're going to be looking for. There's 404, which is file not found. Then I'm actually going to put all this inside of comments. That way it's not messing with things. Okay, so there's 404 file not found. Stop hitting insert. Okay. There's 500, which is file is forbidden access. And then there's 200, which is all good. So that's the response code we're getting right here, and we're setting it to an integer. And I like to know what response code I'm getting. So we're going to say, we're going to go ahead and pull a log helper .info, and I'm going to say, hey, give me some information here. First off, I want to say, in quotes, this, okay, update checker got response plus response or response code. And this is going to return to me a simple thing saying down here, update checker got a response of 200, 500, 202, or 404, 200, 500. So now the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to say, hey, if the response code, and I'm typing random crap, if the response code is not equal to 200, meaning it got no response at all, we are actually going to put in here return error. We're actually going to handle that a little bit later. But I'm actually going to go ahead and create a new file underneath of reference. We're going to call this update info. So Java update info. Public static final string. And let me actually just come back down here to the update checker. I'm going to move this guy completely. And we're going to come up here and put it there. Whole bunch of spaces that were not needed at all. Okay. All right, so there's that one, and from here we're actually going to change this to update info. There it is. Okay, so that fixes that problem. Okay, and we can minimize that. Head. All right, so the response code is going to be localized, so it doesn't really matter what we do with that. But instead of returning an error here, we're actually going to return a core update, or we're going to ask it to set a boolean for errored up here. So update info, we're going to say public static. We don't want this to be final because we do want to change it. And we're going to say boolean update errored equals false. That's its default starting point. And then we're going to come down here and we're going to change this. From that, we're going to actually say update info dot why are you doing this now? I don't want you. Okay, update info dot update errored is true. So this if the response code is not 200, it's going to error and be done with it. Okay. So I'm just going to clean this up a little bit there. Okay. The next thing we need to do is say, hey, well, if you didn't error, then I need you to open a method where you're actually reading it. So we're going to call for the scanner class. Scanner being a Java utility element, and we're going to call this scanner. And underneath of the scanner is going to be initialized as a new scanner with the URL, and we're going to open its stream. So now we're actually going to start reading from the file, or the online file. And for this, what we're going to say is, well, while at any point the stream is open, if I can spell while the scanner it has a next line, and I want to actually call my scanner as scanner dot has next line. I want it to change, or I want to actually have a list. So I'm going to set a list up here. Let me actually cheat real quick. Okay, so underneath the update info, I want to create a, is it just a list or a string list? One sec. It's a list string. Okay, so I want to create a new file, or new one up here called, well, public first of all, because we wanted this to be accessible outside of here. And we're going to say static, and we do want to change it so we're not doing a final, but we are going to do a list, the util list. We're going to feed it these guys. And inside of here, we're actually going to say, well, this is a string list. So we're going to feed it a string list, and it is going to be mod update, why not? And this is going to be a new list No, I'm sorry, it's not a list. It's a new array list. So now we actually have a list string as an array list, because we are actually going to have to turn this into a string array in a little bit. So that's going to be done down here. Public static string, st string, and we need an array, so open square, close square brackets, and we're going to call this update array. Okay, there's the update array. And then we also need to have a boolean for update successful. Probably spelled that entirely wrong, but equals false at the moment. If everything checks out and it comes back good, it will be, or I'm sorry, update is available, because we're not really doing a successful check. Update is available, and that's false. And then we also want 2 lines, so public static string, and these strings are changed, will get changed, so we actually want to say update ln1 and public static string update ln2. That's all the variables we should need for an update. Let's go back down to our update check, where we still have work to do. So anyway, underneath of this, what we have to do is call for our update info with lowercase u, update info, and we want to say our mod update, which is our list. We want to add to our list our scanner result for our next line. So scanner dot next line. If you just did next, it would just grab every word, the next word after the next word, and you'd have a list of like 1 million instead of a line of it would be kind of funny. But after that, we need to close the scanner. So we're going to do scanner dot close. Now the next thing that we need to do is, it's kind of a nightmare to try to read from a list, even an array list. So I've always found it easier to just translate that into a string array. String arrays I have absolutely no problem reading from. Like, I can do that in my sleep. So that's what we're going to do right now. So I'm going to say update with the lowercase u, update info dot update array is equal to update info dot mod update dot stream dot to array, and inside of here we're saying string an array colon colon new semicolon. This is just a really simplified way of saying, hey, convert the list into an array or a string array, please. There's other ways of doing that. This is just the shortest hand possible way of doing that. But okay, so now we actually have, if we have the text document open, we have that one for that first line, the second line, and third line. The first line is 1.7 or 0.0.1, which is also what our mod ID is. So we're going to actually check here to see if our update, if the first string is equal to our current. Well, it's another way of checking to see if the file, or if we pulled the right file. Because sometimes if you don't have the file there, it tries to redirect you, and then you get a whole jumbled mess, and then Minecraft crashes. This is a way to ensure, hey, if the first line is it has a 0 in it, then okay, go for it. So what we're saying is if update info dot update array, and we're going to say if the first line or the very first number or sequence in the update array is equal to 0, or so we're going to say dot starts with 0, then do stuff. And it's not a good idea. There. Okay. So we're saying if the update array first entry starts with a 0, then do this. And basically what I'm saying by that is, if I can open this, we had okay, so this is line 1, this is line 2, this is technically line 0. So when it reads the file in, this grabs string array 0, string array 1, string array 2. So don't save. You can actually add another one to that if you wanted to. I am not going to in this instance. But basically that would say, hey, so we got to do this. But it's checking to see if that file is the correct one. I am probably going to alter this a little bit later to my own for my actual mods, but for the sake of this, there's not going to be a 1 in the first instance at all for this. It's probably going to stay 0.0.1 the entire time. That's just how I'm going to check. So basically, if this is saying if update array starts with a 0, which it does, we're going to do a whole bunch of stuff. But that's a little annoying. Why don't we just say if it doesn't start with that, we check for or we do an update check or update info dot update errored equals true. That way we don't actually have to deal with any of that. And then we can just say else. So now we have checked, hey, is the file existent? No, error. Otherwise do this. Hey, does the file that was gotten, is that the right file? No? All right, throw an error. Otherwise, let's actually do some stuff. This entire section up here, all of this code up to this point is just to check to see if the file actually exists. The rest of it's pretty simple. If this does not equal reference, so we're saying our mod ID, if our, or I'm sorry, not mod ID, our mod version. Okay, so it's saying if our mod version ends with update info dot update array 0. So I've tried this several different ways, but for some reason every time it pulls that information in, I can't say, hey, reference ID is equal to update info dot array 0. It looks right in code, but it fails every time miserably like hell any other time. So I have to say, hey, if reference.modID ends with update info dot update array 0, so it's checking, hey, does 0.0.1, is that the same thing as the mod version 0.0.1? If yes, then just do nothing. Otherwise, it's going to check for updates. So that's what we're doing now here is we're going to say, hey, so you didn't actually check out, so I need you to go and set some stuff. So first off, we're going to say update info dot update is available equals true. So now our system knows, hey, there's an update available. what should I do? Well, we're going to say update check, or update info again. I'm sorry. Update info dot line 1 is equal to update info dot update array line 1. Update info dot update line 2 is equal to update info dot update array line 2. So now we've set those variables, and this is actually all we have to do here. That's everything in the update check. The next part is the update error. So we're going to create a new Java class here, and we're going to say, hey, update errored. Update error. Okay. Underneath of update error, we only have to do 2 lines. Well, a couple lines if you include the method. So update error does not extend anything, does not implement anything. But we are going to do a public static void update error. And here we're going to actually say, hey, I need an event, but I need a specific event. I need a player event. So we're going to call for player event from CPW, and we're going to say, hey, I need a player logged in event. All I simply want you to do is print for the player, or get an add chat message dot add chat message, and we're going to say the chat message is a new chat component text. We're going to say inside of this, because all we have to do is feed it text, is that we failed to find the file, because this is if it errored. So what we're saying is colon. This is line 1, and then we're going to create another line, which is pretty much exactly the same thing if I close that correctly. And then we're just going to copy this down so we don't have to type it again. Paste that here, and then from here what we're going to say was there was an error checking, or there was an error connecting to the update server, server, period. All right, so this will throw an error and tell the player, hey, there was an error, we couldn't connect, sorry. That's basically what that does. The next one is we're going to do another one, and this one is going to be update success. So update success. Underneath of update success is basically the same notion yet again, but this time it's just going to be 2 different lines. So this is going to be public static update, doesn't really update success player, I want an E, thank you, player event dot player logged in event. Why are you throwing errors? Make update success not static. Oh, my bad. I forgot the void. That's why it's throwing errors. Anyway, from here what we're going to say is event dot, yes again, event dot player dot add chat component add chat message new chat component text, and inside of here we're going to say I want the update. Why are you not letting me call update info? Apparently it just didn't want me to import it. I really don't understand that at all, but okay. And then we're going to copy this down here. And we're going to do the same thing here for line 2. And if you remember correctly, line 2 is one that we ended abruptly. So we are also going to add one more piece of line here. We're going to add update info dot update array line 0 to the end of that. Okay. That's all we have to do here. Now we just have a couple more things to do. We are going to have to go to our event handler, or which we have not made in, and we're going to call it login chat. So we have to create a new Java class here, or not class, we need to create a new package, and we're going to call it events. And underneath of events, I'm going to create a new Java class and call it login chat. Underneath of login chat, what we are going to do is we are going to say has it run this session. We're going to make a boolean for it. So boolean has run this session. Basically what we're doing is saying I don't want this to load every single time the player logs onto a world unless they just loaded Minecraft. So that's what that boolean is for. Now, we're also going to need to subscribe the event. Anytime that you run an event, it needs to be subscribed. That way the system knows, hey, I need to run this. We should probably get it ready. So subscribe event. And then we're going to say public void on player login. We're going to grab the same exact parameters as we had before. Player event dot player logged in event. And from here we're going to say, hey, if our update info is errored, or I'm sorry, we should probably use the update checker that we built, or the configuration that we built. So if configuration handler dot update check is true, you are going to say if update info dot update as errored, then run the update error. Update error dot update error wants an event. We can just feed it this event. Sorry about that. It's probably a little bit loud for you. And then we're going to say else if. So else if we're going to say update info is available. Update info dot, I'm sorry, not that, up, caps lock is on. Update info dot update is available. Then we're going to call for update success dot update success event. Okay, so now we have two options. One, update runs and you failed is going to run the error event. Update runs, it successfully grabs the information and there is an update. Okay, update was successful. Well, what if there is no update available and what if there is no error? Well, easy. Else, nothing. Pretty nice, right? So after all of that, we actually just have to do one thing more. We've checked for the update, and now we're going to go, hey, has run this session equals true. That'll prevent it from running again that session. And then underneath this if statement, we can say else do nothing except has run this session is now true. Okay, so what have we done? We have a system that can check for an update. And then we have a system that can interpret that information and tell the system, hey, run the update error or update success checks. So now we have a system that can detect a file, read a file, check to see if the file is equal to certain things, then assign values, and then redistribute. So if we go into our reference update info, you'll notice that pretty much everything's used now. Except that technically it still doesn't work yet. We actually have to update, or we actually have to tell it to check for the update. So what we're going to do is we're going to say, hey, update check. Check for your updates. Do your thing. So the reason I'm doing it like this is because you can do all of this right here inside of the event, but then it's going to run, or the checking for updates and everything is going to run every time you launch the game, no matter what. That's not exactly what we want to do. Well, okay. So now we have it running in pre-initialization stage during the load, where everything else is doing its thing, it's going and grabbing stuff, so it's not slowing anything down. Now the next thing that we need to do is we actually need to grab a new event handler bus. So we can actually just copy this to its entirety down to a line below this, and instead of configuration we can say login chat. Login chat. And that'll run the login chat. So now let's go and check our reference file. Make sure that this is set to 0.0.1. So now if we go ahead and run this, it should be able to pick up on everything. And I'll show it to you actually working and stuff. I'm going to remote desktop into my system again. Connect. That's loading up. There it is. Okay, so if I go single player, create a new world in survival or creative, there we go, and test. This should display literally nothing to the player. So it logs in and I got no message whatsoever at all. But if I save and quit and then close this out entirely because we do have it set to do that, and I come over here and I change the update to say 02 and I save that, when I go and run the Minecraft client, it's going to go and start grabbing files, doing its thing, having a good old time, just randomly deciding it wants to be a machine. It's going to go and download a whole bunch of stuff. Or not really download a whole bunch of stuff. And I realize that this video is running on probably about 45 minutes to an hour at this point, and I apologize. But if I go and run test now, I should get an error saying tutorial mod is out of date, update to 0.0.2. There is an easy way to fix that one space area there though. All you have to do is go to update success, which is here, and go to update line right here, and just add a quote with a space in it, and that'll separate it out. So now that is actually working. Now there's one thing that we still have to check, which is closing this entirely and then moving it to the desktop. So it's not where it's supposed to be. And and we can go and run this again. Wait for it to load. I can show you where it actually was able to get I can show you exactly where it's going to say it's got a 404 error. Sound engine, pulse, sound engine. It's actually up. Okay, there's where that happens. Tutorial mod, update check got response 404. So if I go into this and I run this, it's now going to throw their tutorial mod error. There was an error connecting to the update server. So as far as the system is concerned, the file doesn't exist. It's not happy. If I close this and I go back over to the remote desktop, there's one last thing I can check for, which is it actually reading the first letter or first number in this? If I change this to 1 and this to 1 as well, fix that while we're at it. If I go and change that to 1.01, this doesn't know that that's a viable version. So it's when you go and run it, it should go ahead and be like, hey, we got a 202 response, but hey, this isn't the right file. So we're going to let that run for a minute. It's going to go through all of its stuff, got the right connections, load it up. When I go into single player, it's going to actually throw an error and say, hey, there was an error. We could not connect to the update server because the file did not start with 0. We just got the wrong file, basically. So that's how that's all working. We can actually go back over to the remote and change this back to 0. And we've tested every scenario, and it has performed exactly as it should in every scenario. So, after 52 minutes and 30 seconds, we have a working update check system. I am literally watch this video as many times as you need to understand it or to get it set up. Because I literally sat there for 2 days working on this system that is able to do it as quickly and silently as it does. Now, mine actually has color and stuff. Like, that's not the right thing. Mine is actually a little bit different. This is mine over here. If I were to, let me remote again. Connect. I'll show you guys mine. Okay, yeah. No, stop. Okay. If I log into this again and I go to web, I go to mod updates, and let's just like change the version here from 0.1 to 2. That way you guys can actually see them pop up. Okay, so mine, I actually have a bunch of mods running in one instance right here. There's Core Foundation Technology and World. This is a fully modular system. I'm actually building it so that certain things can run over other things. But let's go ahead and rebuild the modules. Build my modules. Do you not have a JDK attached? They did. No, there it goes. Alright, this might just take a minute here. It shouldn't take too long. It should skip 90% of this stuff. Okay, there's Phoenix Core. Phoenix Foundations needs to be rebuilt. So decomp workspace. Phoenix Technology needs to be rebuilt. Where's my setup decomp workspace? There it is. So we'll run that one too. And after Phoenix Technology is Phoenix World. Setup decomp workspace. As soon as that's finished. Okay. And then there's the run module. So this one, as soon as this one's finished, setup decomp workspace. Should run through that. Okay. And then come back up here and we can refresh this really quick. It's going to run my 5 modules through a refresh rate. It shouldn't take too long. We're going to get into a lot of what I'm doing around here. Like core stuff, we'll do that later. Yeah, go away. Riddle build. Just want you guys to all catch up so I can show this off real quick. Now, my update checker does exactly the same thing as all of this other stuff. Okay, so this should have fixed the task bars and everything. Okay, so client, now do it. Okay, there we go. Now it's loading the stuff. Okay, single player, new world. So this is not currently important in any way, shape, or form at the moment, but basically my way of doing things is I like to color scheme everything. So the title is going to be in orange, the mod, and then the update version. It's got information on how many modules are loaded, the names of the modules. This dynamically changes and centers itself. And yeah, so this is somewhat what I'm going to show you how to do. I'll show you how to color scheme it later when we get into how I did the coloring of all the item names and everything, and the mod name. But pretty much everything is that way, including blocks. Aluminum, yeah. So everything there is pretty much like that. That doesn't do anything, but this should. There's my aluminum blocks. Yes. Okay. So we'll cover a bunch of this stuff later, but NEI you can actually do at PHEO or PHOE. There we go. Now these I actually need to figure out the API to remove because these are actually just my creative tab icons. But in order to use them, you have to initialize them as an item. But I'll figure that out later. Anyway, so that is what we are doing today. That was an hour-long video on how to build an update handler. I hope you learned something. Watch this video as many times as you need to get it correctly working. Yeah, have fun. I will see you guys in the next episode, where it seems to me that we are actually going to be making our first block, more than likely. I can double check that. See if there's anything else that we need to do, other than the MC mod info. Tutorial mod. Oh, we have the update checker. Let me actually label these here real quick for you guys. This is our configuration manager. And this one here is our checking for updates. Yeah, so it looks like the next thing we're going to be working on is actually starting to make some items and blocks. But before that, I'll probably make a quick episode going over the MC mod info. Probably not, but it might happen. If I do that, it won't be until tomorrow. My voice is like so tired right now. So that's going to be it for this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you guys later.